Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Faith and Fandom Feedback Friday podcast. Hope you are all doing well. Coming to you from this mid-October morning, and hope things find you well and hope that you're doing good. As we're jumping in here, I'm gonna get going pretty quickly just because I want to be on time with all the things today. I have miles to go and promises to keep before I rest, if I ever do. And I know y'all got stuff to do and you don't want to listen to me yammer, but so much. There's all speaking of listening to me yammering, there's also the uh Artist Alley Aftermath podcast about Boardwalk Comic Con, Carolina Gathering Movement, and the 21 Pilots concert that will be dropping today at 3 p.m. So, hello Facebook, hello Instagram, hello YouTube. Hope y'all are doing well. Let's jump right in and head on to the news. Um, I think I covered that one last week. Uh, right after our podcast last week, um, P. Diddy, Puffy Combs, was sentenced to uh Tristan enjoys my yammering. Thanks, bro. Um, P. Diddy was sentenced to 50 months, 50 months in jail for all of his stuff. Good morning, Christopher. Um, Cooksabi also quite enjoys her yammering, my yammering. Um, but P. Diddy was sentenced to 50 months, which is just over 4 years in jail. And of course, 50 Cent mocked him about it. But either way, P. Diddy was sentenced to 4 years in jail for his crimes. He avoided all the major crimes of trafficking and such that would have landed him in jail for life. And um, it's been a whole thing. So if you've been following that, that's been the current conclusion to things. But he will do 4 years in federal penitentiary. Um, a Royal Caribbean cruise ship was docked this week, as nearly 100 people on the ship fell ill with the norovirus, causing the ship to dock in Florida. So the ship was cruising, and over 100 people on the ship tested positive for the norovirus, so they had to dock and quarantine and kind of halt the cruise, which is, if you've got to be stuck in quarantine, a cruise is not the worst place to be, but it's also it's not fun if you have to stay in that little cabin though. So because if you get to go on the water slide, it's still fun. If not, it's gonna kind of suck. Uh, the Museum for Gospel Music opened this past week in downtown Nashville. The Gospel Music Hall of Fame opened this past Friday morning. So if you're ever in Nashville, there's one more moderately Jesus-y thing to check out. And a not shocking turn of events based on how things have been trending, Coach Bill Belichick has officially been fired from the North Carolina Chapel Hill coaching staff. The former legendary air quotes coach of Tom Brady has just not gone well in his stint as a collegiate coach, and he's, in many ways burned his bridges with um never burned his bridges with most NFL teams. Dorothy says she's never been on a cruise. I've been on a few. It's worth it. Kelly, good morning, bro. Hope you're doing good. Thank you for driving me to get my car from the shop earlier this week. I think I finally got it all settled after getting a catalytic converter replaced. And if you weren't aware, certain catalytic converters cost as much as a PlayStation 5. I'm now aware, but I go on. You can listen to more about that in my Artist Alley podcast. Um, yeah. Bad Bunny. Hey, Jeff. Good morning, sir. Bad Bunny hosted SNL over the weekend. Um, Fresh off the scandal slash disgruntledy of certain portions of the world regarding to him hosting the Super Bowl or being the Super Bowl halftime show. But he also was part of history just in this because one of his sketches on SNL this past week was about a grown man who had an obsession with K-pop Demon Hunter, which is a lot of grown men and women that I know, and that's perfectly fine. But this SNL sketch that Bad Bunny was hosting also included the world's first ever live performance of the voice actresses from K-pop Demon Hunter. Effectively speaking, that Huntrix from K-pop Demon Hunter performed live for the first time on SNL before they performed anywhere else. Then would go on to be on things like Jimmy Fallon and such throughout the week. Um, but their first ever live performance was on SNL this past week in a Bad Bunny sketch. Similarly, Bad Bunny also started out the SNL monologue by speaking in Spanish and then said to the crowd, and if you didn't understand that, you've got 4 months to learn, um, which was met with laughter by some and angst by others. And yeah, so also, if it's a sketch comedy show, calm down. But I get people being grumpy, but calm down. It's okay. Um, with that, and Dot, you said you missed it. All of it's on TikTok and YouTube and all the places. I didn't actually watch it. I just saw TikToks of it, but I saw a lot of TikToks of it because it kept popping up. A team of divers struck gold this past week after uncovering more. Tristan says he's a grown man who loves K-pop Demon Hunter. You feel attacked, dude? So am I. But they were talking about Lady Gaga and um like Academy Award winning movies, and he's like, "No, I love the K-pop Demon Hunters." I'm like, "Yeah, I feel you, man." And honestly, it was really cool seeing them in live action. Honestly, I know they didn't do the whole colors and costumes and stuff like that. But it was nice seeing them perform. I'm happy for them after Sony abandoned the movie and kind of left them in limbo. But a team of divers this week uncovered more than 1,300-year-old coins off the seafloor of Florida's Treasure Coast. The discovery is estimated to be roughly at $1 million that they found while diving and found these coins. Uh, and no news locally. I live in Robeson County, North Carolina, and this past week in Robeson County, North Carolina, the sheriff's department hosted a baptism service for 56 um, inmates of the detention center of the prison here in my town. Um, it was hosted by Chaplain Jimmy Hunt, as well as Pastor Donald Oxendine, Neil Blue, and some folks from the Pentecostal Church of Red Springs. There's gospel music. And our sheriff for our region, Sheriff Bernice Wilkins, who helped me in my Blues Brothers Dancing with the Stars sketch. If you ever want to see me literally doing a Dancing with the Stars fundraiser. But anyway, the sheriff, Bernice Wilkins, stated, while inmates must be held accountable for their crimes, our goal is to reach those who have opened their hearts to seek God's grace. Even those behind bars deserve this opportunity. And it went on, and there's photos and everything from the day of, and it's pretty great just to see the response of the folks that are there. Um, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, uh, while his performance in the Smashing Machine is getting good praise, the reviews aren't getting that good of a response, but even worse was the box office this past week. Um, this past week, The Smashing Machine, the biopic of a MMA fighter, that The Rock starred in, went under physical transformation for, got acted alongside Emily Blunt for the millionth time. Uh, it only opened to $5.9 million, um, and cost about $50 million to make. Now, that's bad in terms of box office. That's really bad, but here's why this is like a line in the sand. This is The Rock's worst movie opening of all time. And before you say, but what about, listen, of all time, Doom opened to more than The Smashing Machine. Doom. The absolutely hot dog water garbage, terrible video game movie adaptation that featured The Rock go insane in a first person shooter manner. Doom opened to more than The Smashing Machine. And The Rock simply stated, you can't control the box office. And people have been posting memes of, well, guess it's time for The Rock to ruin wrestling again and stuff like that. But that's definitely a devastating bump for The Rock. And I don't say that with zeal or anything because of Black Adam at all. Um, WWE superstar Zoe Stark got baptized this past week as well, being cheered on by an AEW wrestler as well. But she made that step in her life, and it's cool to see. You can see it on her Instagram, Rapzilla, lots of other places are sharing of just her response to what Jesus is doing in her life right now, and it's really good to see. I didn't watch the WWE behind the scenes show. I just haven't had time. I also haven't watched a lot of wrestling recently, um, just because of life. But the show also featured people like Raquel Welch? No. Raquel Rodriguez leading prayer and stuff before matches. So it's moving in that community, which is kind of cool. Zelda Williams, the daughter of Robin Williams, and now also Hollywood director and writer and all the things that she is, made a formal plea this week asking people to stop sending her AI videos of her father. She is apparently barraged with them on a regular basis and needs you all to stop. Also, I need you to stop. That's not cool, guys. Like, not cool at all. I cry when I open Animal Crossing and get a letter from my mom in Animal Crossing. What do you think she needs this for? Stop it. Don't do that. Um, so yeah, the US Treasury this week drafted a $1 coin featuring President Donald Trump on both sides. One is just his, standard coin face of just like facing this way, and one's got him doing a fist pump. This is a draft of a coin. Uh, there's no guarantee this coin will actually happen, but apparently it might. Um, the front would say Liberty, "In God We Trust," with 1776 to 2026. And uh yeah, United States of America forever. I don't know. I can't read a little bit. I made the screen too small. Um, but the thing that frightened me when I first looked at it is that the dashes, like the numbers under President Trump's face, say 1776 dash 2026, almost like it's a lifespan. And that's not a political statement. It was just seeing the numbers of the country marked out with the dash in between made me think like, oh, that looks like how long our country lasted. Ooh, I didn't like it. Um, we gotta do better, people. Let's be good. Not that we can do anything. We're all terrible humans anyway. Um, Part of Coach Bill Belichick's firing also includes the fact that Hulu is no longer going to continue forward with their documentary on Chapel Hill with his coaching and leadership. So Hulu has officially pulled the plug on Chapel Hill's uh, documentary they were filming. The Savannah Bananas, who have been making history over the last number of years, doing better than what wrestling has done um, with pop culture and sports. The Savannah Bananas have been selling out some of the biggest venues in the world on a consistent basis with wait lists for years to be able to go see the games, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the Savannah Bananas have officially announced the Banana Ball Championship League, which will feature six Savannah Banana Ball teams that will compete for a championship each year. But this means that there will be six teams spreading their culture of fun baseball across the country and giving people a better chance to be able to see and enjoy these things. Two of the new teams that were added, um, I want to say one of them's a coconut and the other one is a clown. So, um, have at that what you will, but that's totally happening. Congratulations to them. Um, a young man this past week had to go through a CT scan, and as someone who has spent way too much time in CT scans and MRIs lately, I can understand it being terrifying. Um, so a young man this week had to go do it, and so he got permission to wear his Penta mask, which is a luchador wrestler in the WWE. And because Penta's slogan is zero fear, and he did his little Penta gang sign as he underwent it, and it was cute, and I appreciate that because funding PBS shouldn't be a big issue, but it is. Um, PBS, as long as with Bob Ross's estate, is auctioning off 30 of Bob Ross's original paintings to fund PBS for a while. So one of the people that made PBS a star, his estate, or not one of the people who made PBS a star, one of the people that was an anchor of PBS is his estate, even post-mortem, is helping carry forward with public broadcasting. So thank you, Bob Ross and the Bob Ross estate. I'm not going to be able to afford one of those paintings, but I'm grateful for the people who do. Netflix has ordered a competition series, like a game show, based on the board game and movie Clue. So there is officially a game show of Clue coming to Netflix. There's been an ongoing debate this week between Maverick City Music and people formerly of Maverick City Music. Moore, who left Maverick City Music earlier this week and is suing for funds not being paid properly um, and money being withheld. One of the co-founders said that the Jonathan J, one of the co-founders, claims that the allegation. Okay, I think we're back and broadcasting. Um, that was weird. My broadcast cut off like directly in the middle of it. Um, cool. Thank y'all for being patient. Um, glad I didn't stop. That was weird. Anyway, like I'd never seen all of those things happen at once. But cool talk. Um, yep. All right, we're back. Um, Tristan joined. Yeah, thanks for joining on Instagram, Tristan. I don't know what happened there. But I'm back. Like Andy Minio's latest single, okay, we back. Um, but Chandler Moore from Maverick City Music recently left Maverick City Music and is suing Maverick City Music for withheld funds and things of that nature. And currently, Jonathan Jay from Maverick City Music, one of the co-founders, states, um, LJ says I'm giving too much energy at Crash. Man, I'm trying to be like you when I grow up, bro. Um, but Jonathan Jay from Maverick City Music says that all of these allegations are categorically false, and people be peopling. So it's sad to see people unable to actually be a part of it. And as we're talking, like if you're, there have been people that have been saying you're not allowed to use Maverick City Music in worship context lately because of things like this and other allegations that have been popped up. And it's just kind of sad in general when you've got something that's so well received in the name of God, but also brings so much, I hate to say it, but drama, um, that people can't use it. And I hate that for them with it. But there'll be more going on with that ahead. I'm gonna go. It's not my notes yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and jump ahead and jump to this since it's on the same topic. Forrest Frank is in the news this week on not a similar, but on a linear path to this conversation. Forrest Frank um, stated that he would not be attending the Dove Awards um, or the Grammys or anything else moving forward because he doesn't feel like you should get trophies for what you do for God. Much like the scripture that talks about, are you getting your crown here on earth from the praises of men, or are you getting your crown in heaven? And so he made a statement that he wouldn't be attending the Doves and that he wouldn't be going to the Grammys, and from here on out, he wouldn't be accepting trophies, which met backlash from people like Jelly Roll and other artists and musicians who said, who made reference to the fact that he still receives lots of dollars from it. And isn't that a trophy? And while other Christian artists were, said, stood by his convictions, let him do it. But I get why people would do that because it looks, as I saw somebody recently use the term piety signaling. Um, Here's what I'll say to this, in my personal opinion on the matter. Um, if you have a conviction, you need to live by it. That doesn't mean you always have to announce your convictions. Um, but if you have a conviction, you need to live by it because if you are going against what you feel convicted against, you're going to be convicted by it. And Romans 14 is the chapter I always tell people to go to for this. But your convictions are not the responsibility of others, nor are they responsible to live up to your convictions. You only are. Um, Keeley or P. Keeley says, he sees both sides of it, and absolutely me too. Um, like I see both sides of it. People have stated that if you don't want your stuff considered, don't submit it, or don't let your studio or your publishers submit it and stuff like that. There's all sides to it. But I do say that you need to stand by your convictions. You don't need to hold other people to your convictions. Um, and again, be careful how you share it. But it's a tricky place when you're literally, one of the things that people reference specifically is like you charge $100 for a hoodie at your concert, but you won't take recognition in public. Um, and it's on those lines. I have no personal beef with Forrest Frank. I also know Forrest Frank's a young person. I'm not old shaming people or anything like that, but I understand what it's like to live by your convictions as your convictions grow as you're a younger person. So, because I've made some bold statements that have obviously caught me some heat as well at different times. So, live by your live by your convictions is the biggest thing you can do. And how you present them, that's another thing. You also have to make sure you're not causing people to stumble by what you can like are convicted by, which is what Romans 14 tells us. So there's that. The NFL fined Jerry Jones $250,000 for his unfortunate gesture on Sunday at MetLife Stadium, when he flashed his middle finger at some Jets fans during the Cowboys win. So that man flipped some people the bird in public, and it cost him $250,000. At that point, you just have to take my finger because I couldn't do it because I don't got that kind of money. But it is what it is. Um, the hair is flowing good, sir. Yeah. I just brushed it because it was nappy, and I was trying to be moderately presentable. Um, after shooting 2 episodes of Ahsoka season 2, Bryce Dallas Howard now has more Star Wars live action directing credits than any other filmmaker on the planet, including George Lucas. Um, so congratulations to Bryce Dallas Howard. You are a contribution to the nerd world at large. Um, uh, there's a sad loss this week as three E.E. Smith, which is a local high school to me, as three E.E. Smith football players were killed, and one critically injured in a crash in Fayetteville. They were on the way to a birthday party when this accident happened, and that's a really sobering thing, especially in being in high school. It hits the school whole community and the schools way harder than we as adults out in the world can fathom. Because if you remember how intense those things pretty strongly. P. Keeley says, other than Jack Black episode in Mando season 3, she has done some of your favorite episodes. I feel you. And that one, yeah, I get that one just felt like really heavy on the celebrity and really heavy on the like self grandiozing. But no, she's made really good content. She also did one of the best episodes of Black Mirror. She wasn't terrible in Jurassic Park, other than running in heels from a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And she was Gwen Stacy. Man, come on, she's done lots of good stuff. But she's a great director. She's taken she's taken a lot of growth from her father, and watching that whole lineage has been pretty cool. There will be more details on the E.E. Smith students. I'm not going to list all their names here because that's for them to do. But if you're in that community, make sure you reach out and love on them in this time. There's the Forrest Frank notes. Past that, 21 Pilots, who I just saw in concert on Wednesday, will attend the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they have been listed as one of the performers for this year's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on November 8th. On a side note, the 21 Pilots will be eligible for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame starting in 2034. That's such weird numbers. Be on the lookout for spooky events happening in Pokemon Go, as there are now witch hat wearing versions of Teddy Urso, Ursaring, etc., and one of the bats. I can't remember its name. DC Comics put out a statement this week from Jim Lee, stating that DC Comics will not support generative AI, not now, not ever, as long as Jim Lee is in charge and attached to uh, DC Comics. If you're a Panthers fan, you can tune in this week to hear uh, Panthers legend Greg Olson on the mic doing the commentary, which will be great, calling the game. Um, if you were following at all last year, Drake and Kendrick's beef, Drake had sued. Hey, Stephanie Schwan. Um, Drake had sued UMG and Kendrick Lamar for defamation in the Not Like Us scandal and everything else. A federal judge officially dismissed Drake's defamation case this week. So that is shut down, is stopped, dropped, and closed down shop. One of the most classic books of high school time for me was Lord of the Flies, and there's been many books and stuff, or many TV shows and movies and such that have been adapted from it. There's officially a high dollar, big budget faithful air quotes adaptation of Lord of the Flies coming um, from the TV from the people that made the TV series Adolescence that won all the awards this year. That dude is making Lord of the Flies. Personally, I don't know if I can watch it. I want to watch it. I think it will be well made. But Lord of the Flies is pretty brutal, and it's a brutal story of children. And I don't need to know if I need to see Piggy go out like that. Especially because one of the first promo is just you see is Piggy, and I'm like, nah, bro, I don't know if I can do this. If it was adults, maybe I don't know if I can watch kids devolve like that, but it's whatever. Fortnite has officially re-enabled the dance moves of Peacemaker with a new edit to remove what could be potentially Nazi innuendo, as Peacemaker's intro dance alluded to something that was going to happen and later on in the story when Peacemaker traveled to Earth X, which was a Earth where World War II was won by the Nazis, and the alternate world storyline that was going to happen. Part of his dance included what looked like now could be defined as Nazi imagery, and so that has been officially edited out of Fortnite. Um, and I'm going to say this with just the smallest grain of salt. Um, it's funny that a game that we make free and available for people just to run around and shoot each other still holds the concept of being morally above board. I just had, I just there's thoughts and irony in there. Um, we covered Zoe Stark. Um, President Trump this week was on video. Paris Green, good morning, sir. President Trump this week was on video talking about people burning flags and protests. And one of the quotes that was taken, if you watch the whole video, is he says that they have taken away free speech when it comes to burning the flags. His exact quote is, we took the freedom of speech away," which is a quote that you don't want to be attributed to as any president. But he says, we took the freedom of speech away because of how they were responding to the flag. And you can read the full quotes. But he says, because people were burning the flag. Now, legally in our country, um, 40 years ago, it was federally ruled that burning a flag is a protest is can be regarded as a protest while it's not something positive or that people look good on, that federally it was still protected as freedom of speech. But um that's just one of those quotes you're going to hear moving forward. That's not always going to be that's going to be received roughly. You can see his full document in this conversation and in this presentation, as he said. um but just be aware that that's out there. As he said it, we took the freedom of speech away because that's been through the courts. The courts said you have the freedom of speech, but uh, what has happened is when they burn the flag, it agitates and irritates the crowds, and so because it's incendiary, inciting riots and stuff. So that's a thing that's happening. Nintendo officially dropped their first animated short this week. Um, Watching a baby chase a pacifier around a room. And the internet sparked debate. Is this baby Rosalina? Is this a Pikmin short? Et cetera, et cetera. Then later in the week, Nintendo dropped an edit of that same animated short, which showed that it was in fact Pikmin. So there was a Pikmin animated short that Nintendo dropped, and it's super cute. If you haven't seen it yet, it's very much something you would see in front of a Pixar movie. Um, Nintendo officially uh, filed a lawsuit, a $4.5 million lawsuit settlement from a Reddit moderator who sold pirated ROMs of Switch games. Um, the violations of James Archbox Williams, who was the moderator of Switch Pirates, a subreddit. And Nintendo stated that this is nowhere near the amount they're owed, and that the damages are far more than that. But $4.5 million for selling modded versions of Switch games. Jimmy Fallon is officially producing a game show of Wordle. So y'all that are all about that Wordle life, there's a Jimmy Fallon host or produced game show, and they're looking at Savannah Guthrie, to be the host of it. Um, yeah, from Jimmy Fallon's Electric Hot Dog Production Company, box office. Uh, One piece of news that I'm genuinely excited about because I never thought it was going to happen. Um, LJ says, appreciate what you do for the community here and abroad, bro. See you next week. Hope you got my email. I'll check and see if I got your email. But I think I did. We're gonna see. Um, with that. But Fayetteville Fan Fest is next weekend, and I'll be hosting Geek Church on Sunday, October 19th at Fayetteville Fan Fest. So you can see there. One bit of entertainment news I'm really pumped for. Uh Jindy Tartovsky, who made the Powerpuff Girls and Samurai Jack and lots of other things, recently made a TV series for HBO on Cartoon Network as it existed called Primal, which followed a caveman and a dinosaur through their journeys of loss and grief. And it ended very, here's the end of the show. Um and Primal season 3 has revealed its first look at a zombie spear story. So there will be a Primal season 3. It will um, be pulp inspired and it will not be a reboot. But so they are going to continue the story of Primal, and this new season is going to include zombies. So we went from cavemen and dinosaurs to a zombie version of a caveman with dinosaurs. So be on the lookout for Primal season 3. Um, Country star Alan Jackson, the man who taught us what a how hot a hoochie coochie is with the song Chattahoochee. Went down your yeah. It gets hotter than a hoochie coochie, which is a standard measure of scientific heat. Um, Alan Jackson. Dorothy gets to leave the hospital today. Congratulations, Dorothy. Um, Alan Jackson has announced that he will be performing his final concert um, as he's battling an illness. He will be joined by Luke Bryan, Miranda Lambert, and a few others for one last full-length concert. So, Alan Jackson is reaching the end of his musical career. Um, Paris Green gave a thumbs down. I'm not sure where that landed, but um, there is a CG animated sequel to the movie Paranorman called Paranorman: The Thrifting, which will feature Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things and Ghostbusters, Anna Kendrick, and others. Will be a sequel to the Paranorman universe. Darius Rucker, lead singer of Hootie and the Blowfish, and also his long-standing country music career, but I go lead singer of Hootie and the Blowfish, um, has gotten engaged to Emily Deal, an influencer. Um, and he states he has now experienced a level of happiness that he's never known. So there you go. Um, Dolly Parton has apparently been having health issues over the last week or so, and uh, with that, her sister um, put out a statement asking for prayers for Dolly, which immediately sent the internet into a full tizzy, thinking Dolly's gonna die. And Dolly put out a statement. I'm not put out a response. I'm not dead yet. Very Monty Python-esque. And would go on to say, I'm not ready to die yet. I don't think God is through with me, and I ain't done working. So Dolly's okay, and she's determined. Y'all can breathe easy. Er, um, Disneyland will officially be almost doubling their ticket admissions. It'll be going up to over $200 for single day admissions moving forward on some parks. Um, there has officially been an announcement. And again, you know how the things go with countries and war and everything else. That Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of a peace deal. Um, and as which opens the floor to move forward with things. Japan has their ruling party has officially elected the first female prime minister. Um, as Sane Takachi has been elected as Japan's first female prime minister. More than 200 hikers are currently stranded on Mount Everest as a massive snowstorm left hundreds of people trapped. And there's a race to rescue all these people because some of them lost their tents, some of them lost their stuff, and people are banding together to survive in this time. So rescue attempts are being made there. A combination of drones and fireworks turned into utter chaos this week in China as something went wrong with the drones and the fireworks, and the drones were caught on fire and came crashing down through the sky as people described it as fiery rain. Watching some of the videos of it, it looked like the Hammer of Dawn from Gears of War. Cosplay for Christ. Jess, good morning. Um, so yeah, going to a drone show and then the sky raining fiery drones is not my top level of entertainment, and worried for, as I saw, there were no fatalities listed, but literally the drone show in China just turned into absolute chaos. Um, a cyclist and social media personality, let's say his name right, Aurelien Fortnar, became the fastest athlete to ever climb to the second floor of the Eiffel Tower on a bicycle. Um, the event took place on October 3rd. Um, the event took place on the 2nd. He was officially awarded the time on the 3rd. Fortnoy on October 2nd climbed 686 steps of the Eiffel Tower to reach the top of the second floor platform, um, which is the last accessible by stairs, in 12 minutes and 30 seconds. Which was a full 5 minutes faster than the previous record. Uh, but the deal was, in order for him to gain this record, he had to climb all the floors, all 686 steps on a bicycle without ever touching the ground. So he had to hop, jump, and boot, scoot, and boogie on a bicycle all the way to the top of this. And you can watch a video of it. He does it pretty quickly too. Um, if you're a North Carolinian like me, or you can not just North, I just highlighted mine because I live here. New financial numbers show that a person living single in North Carolina needs to have an income of $93,000 to live comfortably, and a family of four needs $250,000 annually to live comfortably. I am not comfortable. I don't know who is. It ain't me. Um, Studies are showing that people that use ChatGPT on a regular basis, it's shrinking your brain capacity and your cognitive ability to problem solve. It also is affecting memory. There's whole studies and research done With that, and I just encourage you, you know, you know, be creative. Don't do this to yourself. The same way, listen, how many of us used to do hardcore math and now we can't do real math without pulling out a calculator on our phones? Or like, I don't know how many times my kids have walked through the house and asked Alexa questions rather than look stuff up. So, yeah. Um, an investigation was happened this week as a South Carolina judge's house was set on fire. Or sorry, caught on fire. Uh, and people were a lot of the news stories that took place stated that the judge's house caught on fire after a couple weeks after standing against President Trump, and that was the connection made there. Miss Lynn Turner says she used to remember phone numbers. Yeah, listen, I know my phone number. I don't even know my children's phone numbers. Like, so I can tell you the phone number where I grew up, but I can't tell you like my family members' phone numbers now. So yeah, um, convenience will kill creativity and cognition. Um, so be cautious. Uh, Investigators have ruled out arson though in the South Carolina judge's fire. The fire that spread through her home. So, and initially, a lot of the reports made it look like it was kind of a retaliation thing, but judges or investigators have ruled out arson. Um, Christian yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo has officially become the first ever billionaire football player, and that's foot FU with the thingy T ball, like soccer. Cristiano Ronaldo has officially become the first ever billionaire footballer. Um, uh, Tristan says, "Dude, I still work out percentages in my head faster than I can on a calculator." I said, "That's because you're a gangster, sir. That's what gangsters do, because that ain't me. Percentages I can do because it's usually just take off a zero. But past that, I can't do much. The price of gold has hit a new record high at $4,000 per ounce. The price of silver has also gone up increasingly. Um, and so, if you're in the precious metals market, you have a good chance of actually making money. The bones of Saint Francis of Assisi will officially be showcased at his basilica. Basilica, I'm assuming that's a tomb. From February 22nd this year, or of 2026 to March 22nd of 2026. So for about a month, the bones of Saint Francis of Assisi will be displayed for the first time in 800 years. I believe was the yeah 800 years. It's part of a Catholic ritual of reverence and honor for that. This is the dude who's often quoted with preach the gospel at all times and if necessary use words. Other people don't attribute that quote to him, but it's often attributed quote to him. So venerated as what the bones are going to be done. Yeah. He is also known as the patron saint of animals, the environment, ecology, and Italy. Um, He was also considered to be the founder of the Franciscan order, which serves the poor and the marginalized. So if you want to go see the bones of St. Francis of Assisi, it's going to be your first chance in 800 years to do so, or probably the next 800. Millions. Oh, that's such a scary number to see. Millions of people are stuck in a traffic jam or were stuck in a traffic jam in China for more than 24 hours. As they tried to come home from like an 8 day work week or 8 day vacation, like when nobody was at work. It's called the Golden Week holiday. It, over or several million people were stuck in one traffic jam on one highway for over 24 hours. I've been in traffic for several hours, but I can't imagine being stuck in a traffic jam for 24 hours. That is just astonishing and terrifying to me at the same time. So, no, I don't ever want that. That's an episode of Doctor Who waiting to happen, or it already did happen. It was a David Tennant episode. Um, President Trump officially signed a proclamation this week, um, to reinstate Columbus Day. And yeah, Columbus Day has officially been reinstated, and cities some states and cities celebrate it as Indigenous Peoples Day or recognize both, but it is now officially back to being recognized as Columbus Day. Which there's a whole Sopranos episode on that from 30 years ago, which is really funny to see just the argument about it. Polymarket CEO Shane Copland has become the youngest self-made billionaire at the age of 27. Um, Tristan says it takes one person to put their foot on the brake and cause that sort of carnage in China. Dude, I just traffic is a scary concept to me sometimes. It just really is. Well, yeah, I think that is all of our news. I didn't have any issues with my news actually going through an order this time and everything. Lynn says, always happy to see my tax dollars at work. Um, this 21 pilot says, and standing here I sit cursing my government for not using my taxes to fill holes with more cement. Um, but no, it's bananas how things go sometimes. Oh, um, yeah, I'll say it again. The Artist Alley Aftermath podcast. For Boardwalk Comic Con, and basically it's basically this whole past week because I had a lot of stuff going on. Drops today at 3 o'clock. Miss Lynn, I don't mention you until about the end because I got sidetracked, but I want to say thank you again for bringing mochi to the con. That was beautiful and made my show better, and I'm angry at my children for eating the rest of it before I got to. Hey, Gaming and God, hopping on the Instagram. Um, but yeah, I think that's the news. Let's go ahead and get ready for our roll for initiative Bible reading. Oh, see what we're going to read today. I'm getting the dice out. Um, Heading this morning to Boone, North Carolina, which was about 4 hours. Um, Miss Lynn, I did enjoy, and I was really great to see you as well. Um, Boone's about 4 hours and some change for me. And this is coming off of the fact that my car broke down on the way from my last Comic Con. And so my check engine, it's been a whole week and I'm honestly a little bit nervous and skittish about this trip. So, pray for my travels today, if you don't mind. Because I would like to collectively unclench my whole soul of this situation. All right. We're gonna roll the rock, paper, scissors dice. The fist is Old Testament, scissors is New Testament, and the paper is the whole Bible. So we're going to see what we roll. Whole Bible it is. All right. And so that means we need 3d20 and a d10. And then we're going to subtract four from whatever we get to allow for the first four books of the Bible. And that's going to be what book we read. We got a 14. There's a whole one in front of that. A 2, a 20. Ayo, we rolled a nat 20 on the Bible reading. Thank you, Lord. And a 7. So that is 34, 30. It's 34 plus 9 is, see, here goes that chat BGT math right there. Um, 34 plus 9 is 43. but subtract the 4, we need to do it, and we're in 39. Um, so we are in the book of Malachi, because I know what that is. The 39th book is Malachi, if I'm not mistaken. Move this microphone over a smidge. Let's see which chapter of Malachi we're on. See, I can tell you what book of the Bible is 39 faster than I can count to 39. That's okay. Math. My daughter goes to a math and science school because she's a genius. And I just brain stuttered on subtracting 4 from 43. Good talk, guys. Good talk. Um, all right, there are 4 chapters in Malachi. We've already done Malachi chapter 2. So we're gonna roll a D4 and see uh if we're doing 1, 3, or 4. We're doing 3, folks. Malachi chapter 3. Let's jump on it. Breaking covenant by withholding tithes. Okie dokie. I, the Lord, do not change. So you, the descendants of Jacob, are not destroyed. Ever since the time of your ancestors, you have turned away from my decrees and have not kept them. Return to me, and I will return to you, says the Lord Almighty. Also, just add that has a very James 4:8 vibe. Um, draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Make that in my little notes over here. But you ask, how are we to return? Will a mere mortal rob God? You rob me. I hear that from pastors sometimes that when we withhold what God calls us to give, that we're robbing him. And that's an aggressive language, but also he said it first. Will a more wow, will a mere mortal rob God, yet you rob me? But you ask, how are we robbing you? In tithes and offerings. Verse 9 says, you are under a curse, your whole nation, because you are robbing me. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty. Just one of those things. Do you genuinely trust God to actually do what he says he'll do? It says, test me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will be no room enough for you to store it. One more time, because that's just nice and encouraging. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room to store it. Will prevent pests from devouring your crops, and the vines in your fields will not drop their fruit before it is ripe, says the Lord Almighty. Then all the nations will call you blessed, for yours will be a delightful land, says the Lord Almighty. So God literally saying, y'all been robbing me, but if you would freaking trust me and just give me what I've given you to use, you can watch how well I'm going to take care of you. Israel speaks arrogantly against God. That's a surprise. Verse 13, you have spoken arrogantly against me, says the Lord, yet you ask, what have we said against you? Verse 14 says, you have said, it is futile to serve God. What do we gain by carrying out his requirements and going about like his mourners before the Lord Almighty? But now we call the arrogant blessed. Certainly, evildoers prosper, and even when they put God to the test, they get away with it. So say, why bother to live this way? Verse 16 says, those who feared the Lord talked with each other, and the Lord listened and heard. That's a nice thought right there. A scroll of remembrance was written in his presence concerning those who feared the Lord and honored his name. On the day when I act, says the Lord Almighty, they will be my treasured possession. I will spare them just as a father has compassion and spares his son who serves him. Have compassion and spare your son who serves you. And you will again see the distinction between the righteous and the wicked, between those who serve God and those who do not. So God, the people of Israel were complaining, saying, "There's no actual point in serving you because the evil win and good doesn't prosper." And God says, "Listen, the day is going to come where you're going to see what happens to the difference between the two." Um, so yeah, that's Malachi chapter 3. Mark that off in my handy dandy notebook. Oh, 3. Cool. Well, that's close to it for the day. Again, new podcast dropping at 3 o'clock today on our podcast channel. It'll eventually make it to Facebook as an automated thing. Today is also World Mental Health Day, and I want to encourage you to take care of your mental health because it matters, because mental health is health, and how you um, care for your mind and the mind of others is important. Uh, on a note, just for adding to the noise in a good way, hopefully. I made a mental health mix playlist. Uh, I was DJing for a mental health day event yesterday, and I went ahead and saved the playlist for it. And am going to be posting that. It's already posted on my DJ page. I'm going to share it to my personal Facebook page, and also, I'll probably share it to my Instagram and stuff. So if you would like a mental health day playlist, it's all bops and encouraging mental health songs. So I'm going to make sure I drop that out there for y'all. Uh, but please take care of your mental health. Not just today, but in general, it's important. Because God sees where we struggle, and He knows our minds, and He knows our hearts, and He knows how troubled they can be. So make sure you please take care of your mental health and encourage others to do the same. Um, this is my last overnight uh travel for con for the year of 2025. Um, I only know of one other overnight trip I've got, which is nice. I'm gonna go see Almost Famous in Connecticut. But like my road season is kind of ending. I've got two more shows. I'm gonna be doing Geek Church at Fayetteville Fan Fest next Sunday, the 19th. And I will be at RocoCon in Richmond County, Reidsville, North Carolina on November 22nd. This is my currently listed last show for the year. I've got lots of DJing coming up, but that's my last cons. Um, and then I'm gonna focus on getting two more books out, but or at least close to done by the end of the year. I am doing Faith and Fandom Bite Size Second Breakfast, which will be another 101 mini devotionals that I'll have out, and I'm doing a fictional adventure story based on my recent D&D campaign with some friends. So those two are coming out. I'm also working on Faith and Fandom 11 just for, because I don't know how to stop doing things. Um, there's a Superman chapter in the works, a One Piece chapter in the works, and maybe a Naruto one, although that might end up just being like a video devotional because I don't know that it's going to be long enough for that yet. Um, but before we get out of here, want to thank our Patreon supporters for your encouragement, for the way y'all help and have made this year one of our biggest and best in cons. And I'm just grateful for y'all. So, jumping over to thank our Patreon supporters. And I want to thank, first of all, we have a new Patreon supporter who was just on our Instagram, Jess from Cosplay for Christ. Thank you so much. Jackie Craft, Kelly Townsend, Alan Wallace, Fab Quack, Rivka and Tristan Birch, Dorothy Martin Winston, Michelle Stewart, Miss Lynn Turner, David Brooks, Jeff Weimer, Colin Sproles, Jamie Montgomery, the Coleman family, Jonathan Herman, Ron Petit, Gear Saber Cosplay, Scott Ward, Alicia Glenn, Jay Sheed, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Todd Turner, John Jacobs, Zach Harris, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, and Adam Davis. Thank you all for being the support and encouragement that you are and just supporting and loving the way that you do. Also, Miss Lynn, I hope Wonderworks was good for y'all and that y'all had a good time at Wonderworks. I'll be heading out in about a about an hour and a half to start my journey towards Boone for the day. They have very limited setup time in for the Boone Comic Con, so got a boot scoot and boogie up that way. But yeah, I'll be heading to Boone for this show this weekend. And then yeah, but World Mental Health Day. Take care of yourself. Um, and I don't have many cons left to see this year, but we're gonna send there's gonna stuff. I'll hopefully see all that soon. Patreon supporters. I'm finally going to be done traveling this weekend, so y'all are going to start getting some rapid updated packages. So for y'all that are waiting on physical um rewards, I got you. I got you. Um, but also I know none of y'all that support me on Patreon are doing it because you think you're getting good stuff. You know how this rolls. But thank you for your love, thank you for your support, thank you for your encouragement. And again, I'm just going to leave you with John, third John, verse 2, I believe, but until I memorize this one, I'm working on it. But then again, I just struggled to subtract 4 from 39, so that might take a minute. Um, third John, chapter, verse 2, Dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. Um, so I pray for your health, I pray for your soul, and I look forward to seeing you all at a con real soon. Have a great day.